Hello students, welcome to Study Circle. This video is intended for those students who are going to appear for class 12 CBSE board history exam. This video is very useful for those students who want to do a quick revision of the chapters. So today in our video is that we are going to revise chapter 2, that is kings, farmers and towns. So, the topic one of this chapter is that the early states, early empires, and the new notions of kingship. So, before starting the video, I have a request to you that please subscribe my channel, and if you like this video, then like, share, and share your feedback in the comment box also. So, without wasting much time, let's start. So, what is in this chapter or what is in this topic that several developments took place in different parts of the subcontinent after 15 years following the end of the Harappan civilization. During this period, Rigveda was composed by people living along the Indus and its tributaries. Agricultural settlement emerged in several parts of the subcontinent. New modes of disposing the dead, including the making of elaborate stone structure known as megaliths, emerged in Central and South India. Where is the megaliths? Megalith is emerged in Central and South India. 1600 BC was the major turning point in early Indian history. The sources helpful in understanding the Indian history from the period 1600 BCE to 1600 CE can be classified into two divisions: the literary sources and the archaeological sources. Archaeological sources, especially the inscription and coins, occupy a very significant place in the reconstruction of the ancient Indian history. During 1830s, James Prinsep, East India Company deciphered Brahmi and Kharoshti, which helped in an innovative way to learn about the lineage of major dynasties of the subcontinent. The 6th century was the period associated with early state cities, growing use of iron coinage, etc. Growth of Buddhism was also witnessed during this period. Mention of the 16 Mahajanpadas was among things related to Buddhist and Jaina context. Its states majorly ruled by the kings like Vajji, Magadha, Koshala, Kuru, Panchala, Gandhara and Avanti were frequently mentioned. Magadha emerged as the most powerful Mahajanpada between the 6th and 4th century BC. Some known as Sanghas and Ganas were diarchies. Brahmans composed Sanskrit texts known as Dharma Sutras. Historians used many sources to reconstruct Mauryan Empire. These include sculpture, account of Megasthenes, Chanakya's Arthashastra, Jaina and Buddhist texts and Sanskrit texts. Asoka was the first ruler who inscribed his message on rocks and polished pillars. There were 5 major political centers in the empire, that is capital Patliputra, Takshila, Ujjain, Tosali, Suvarnagiri mentioned in Asokan inscription. Messages of Dhamma based on the theme that there was uniform administration system and were mentioned in Ashokan inscription. Historians felt it unlikely as the empire was too vast. Communication along both river and land routes was vital for the empire. Asoka, a powerful and humble ruler, was the inspiration of 20th century's nationalist leaders. 200 BC saw emergence of new chiefs, clans and kingdoms in several parts of the subcontinent. The early Sangam text contains poem describing chiefdom of Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas in south and the ways in which where the resources were acquired and distributed. Most of these states, including Satavahanas, Shakas, had control over long-distance trade network. Kushanas, the 1st century BC to 1st century CE, ruled over a vast kingdom extending from Central Asia to northwest India. The sources of information include inscription, coins, and sculptures, which convey a notion of kingship. The information about the Guptas, that is 4th century CE, has been reconstructed from literature, coins, and inscription, including prasastis composed in praise of king and patrons by poets. The Prayag Prasasti, known as Allahabad Pillar inscription, was composed in Sanskrit by Harisena. The court poet of Samudragupta was arguably the most powerful of the Gupta ruler. Now come to the next topic 2, the changing countryside and the new cities. What is in this topic is that historians had tried to gather more information about the rulers and their subjects through the stories such as Jataka and Panchatantra. Many of these stories were initially oral tales and later were committed to writing. The Jatakas were written in Pali around 1st million century. A story known as Ganda Tindu Jataka tells about the deplorable condition of the subjects and the strained relationship between the king and the rural population. Peasants were heavily taxed. In order to avoid such taxes, sometimes they escaped through forest. Many measures were taken to increase the agricultural production, use of plough with iron plowshare, introduction of transplantation and use of wells, tanks, less commonly used canals, etc. for irrigation. Increase in production led to differentiation among people engaged in agricultural, Buddhist, and Sangam texts mention different categories of people living in villages, large owners, plowmen, and slaves, and it is likely that these differences were based on differential access to land for agriculture. Evidences of land grants were found from inscription. The grants were given to Brahmins and religious institutions by kings and landlords. It was also given to extend agriculture to new areas or to win allies by making grants of lands. Some historians feel that land grants were indicative to weakening political power. As kings were losing control, they tried to win allies by making grants of lands. Kings sometimes also tried to project themselves as Superman. They wanted people to look like they were in control. They wanted to project a facade of power. Emergence of urban centers like Patliputra, Ujjain, Puhab, Mathura, etc. took place. In the new towns, different type of people like weavers, carpenters, potters, merchants, scribes, etc. From 6th century BC, land and river routes were used into many parts of the subcontinent and also as far as Africa, East and North, West Asia and China. India exported spices, fine pearls, silk, cloth, ivory, medicinal plants, etc. Exchanges were facilitated by the introduction of the coinage. Punch-marked coins made of silver and copper were amongst the earliest to be minted and used. The first gold coin was issued by the Kusanas in the 1st century CE. The first gold coin was issued by the Kusanas in the 1st century CE, and the first coin with engraved names and images of the rulers were issued by the Indo-Greeks, who established control over the northwestern part of the subcontinent in around 2nd century BCE. Coins were also issued by tribal republics like Oudhyas of Punjab and Haryana, and from 6th century CE, finding of gold coins taper off. Now come to the topic 3, that is historical evidence from inscription and the limitations of the inscription. What is in this topic is that most scripts used to write modern Indian languages are derived from Brahmi, which was the script used in most Asokan inscription. The European scholars, with the help of Indian Pandits, started studying several manuscripts in modern Bengali and Devanagari from the late 16th century and compared their letters with old specimens. James Prinsep, an officer in Mint of the East India Company, deciphered Brahmi and Kharosti, the script used in inscription and coin. Prinsep found that there is a mention of king referred to as Piyadasi, meaning pleasant to behold, on most of the earliest inscription and coins. Kings were also referred to as Asoka in other inscriptions. The deciphering of Brahmi script by Prinsep provided a new direction of knowledge into early Indian political history. Though there were connections between political, economic, and social developments, but they were not direct. Kharoshti script was written from left to right. The coins of Indo-Greek kings who ruled in northwest helped in deciphering the script. The name of the kings were written in Greek and Kharoshti, with Prinsep identifying the language of the Kharoshti inscription as Prakrit. It became possible to read it as well. The epigraphist investigate the inscription as per content, style, language in order to find the historical evidence. Epigraphists constantly assess the inscription for its historical evidence. In some cases, it may be exaggerated, hence they have to assess whether it is true or exaggerated. Another limitation was King Ashoka normally inscribed his orders on natural rocks along the communication route, but was not placed in the interior city, where most of the literate people and passerby who would stop and read. This was not easy to answer. The word usage in inscription was not easy to understand. Sometimes the inscriptions were so faintly engraved that they were not easily visible. Some letters were missing or damaged. There were no inscriptions in relation with the views of the common man. Routine agricultural practices as well as joys and sorrows of the common man were not mentioned. Moreover, the content of the inscription project the views of the commissioning person. Through epigraphy was instrumental in understanding the histories of kings, study of inscription cannot provide full understanding of the political and economic history of ancient India. Now the time to know the terms of this chapter, important terms of this chapter. So first term is the megaliths. That means elaborate stone structures kept on the burials. Next was epigraphy, that is study of inscription. Contour means broad outline. Incipient means beginning to happen or develop. Janapada means a land where Jana, people, clan, or tribe, sets its foot to settle. Paleography means style of writing. Oligarchy, a form of government where power is exercised by a group of men. Arthashastra means ancient work dealing with the art of governance composed by Kautila, also called Chanakya, the chief minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Grandiose means extravagant or grandeur titles. Obscure means uncertain or not known. Colossal statue means great in size statue. Devputra is the son of God. Prasastis means in praise of in someone or something, especially the emperor. Prayaga Prasasti means Allahabad pillar inscription. Transplantation means seeds are first broadcast when the saplings have grown. They are transplanted in waterlogged fields. For example, rice or paddy field. Vellalar means the large landowners. Ujabar means plowmen. Adimai slaves. Gahapati means the owner, master, or head of the household. Agrahara means land granted to a Brahman. Votive inscription means record of gifts made to religious institution. Transverse means travel across. Seafarer, someone who walks or travels in the ships. Masattuban in Tamil, rich merchant. Settis or Sattabahas in Prakrit, rich merchant. Numismatic means the study of coins. Kharosti is the ancient script by Gandhara. Juxtapose means comparison or contrast. Now it's time to know the dates. So what happens in 1600 century BC is that the punch mark coins were used. 1600 to 1500 BC is that paddy transplantation, urbanization in the Ganga Valley, Mahajanpadas, punch marked coins. 500 to 400 BC, rulers of Magadha consolidated power. 327 to 325 BCE is the invasion of Alexander of Macedonia. 321 BC, the accession of Chandragupta Maurya. 272 to 272 or 268 to 231 BCE is the rule of Asoka. 185 BCE is the end of Mauryan rule. 100 BCE is the coming of Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, kingdom of South India. 1700 century is the accession of Kanishka Kushanas. With the 320 century is the Gupta rule. 1781 century is the founding of Asiatic Society, Bengal. 1810 century is the Cornell Mackenzie collected 8,000 inscriptions in Sanskrit and Dravidian language. 838 CE is the deciphering of Ashokan inscription. 877 century is the Alexander Cunningham published a set of Ashokan inscription. 886 century, the first issue of Epigraphia Carnatica, a journal of South Indian inscription. 1888 century is the first issue of Epigraphia Indica. 1965 to 66 century, the DC Sarkar published Indian Epigraphy and Indian Epigraphical Glossary. So this is the revision notes of the whole chapter. Hope you will find this video useful. If you like this video, then please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.